Um, I am here in Maine with Nuna and Dan and Tyler, and met Nuna, a year and a half or 2 years ago, and she stole my heart, as she will steal everybody else's if she hasn't already. And yeah, just hopefully we have a great evening.
Thanks. Berta or Dan?
I'll go. So my name is Berta. I am coming to you from Tennessee, usually in Florida, because that's where I'm from. And met Nuna a couple of years ago, again, just to reiterate what Nina said. Totally fell in love with her passion, her message, her mission, her love of service, her just wanting to make a difference and knowing that she could change the world and bring us all along in that process. Beautiful invitation. So I'm super excited to be here. Have loved getting to know Dan and Nina and Christine and Jeff and all the other board members, which you will be hearing about, I'm sure. And really excited to be serving this community. I have a very special place in my heart for Kenya, and would move there if I could. My granddaughter would come with me. Just love it there, and love that the people of Kenya. So this was a huge honor to be invited to play in this sandbox with these amazing.
My name is Dan Crowley, and I'm in Maine too. And I met Nuna a couple of years ago. She at the time was going out with my nephew, and they are now married. And I got a chance to talk with her a little bit on the very first day that we met, and was just taken by her story and what she had to do to get to this country and to get as far as she has today. She's just a very warm, loving person. I've loved getting to know her, and I've found it to be very important for me to help her in any way that I can to help the women and girls in Kenya. And obviously I have never been to Kenya, unlike some of you, but I would love to go, and that little music at the beginning was what I would like to see if I went. So I hope we have a great night, and I'll let Christine take it from there.
All right. Thank you, Dan. I think we have one more board member, Rachel, if you want to say a few words about yourself.
Hi, I'm in DC. I'm Nina's cousin, so that's how I heard about the board. Joined. My dog might jump up in 2 seconds, so sorry. I've been on the board for about 2 months. Tucker, you want to say hello? Sorry about that.
Got my dog too.
Perfect. New to the board, really just love Nuna's resilience. She spoke with the CEO of the company I work at a couple weeks ago now, and he still, even today, could not stop talking about how articulate and warm and just resilient she is as a person. So really happy to be here, and I'm gonna turn this off before my dog barks again.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And with that, I think I covered everyone that I'm seeing on our board. So I'll just turn it over to Nuna now to talk to us a little bit about the history of Wounded Healers.
Thank you so much for your amazing faces, for showing up, and for being a very important part of my life. And before I say history of Wounded Healers, I want to celebrate these women. You can see all those women on that where there's a logo behind. It's 3 a.m. in Kenya, and they are awake, and they are part of beneficiary for Wounded Healers, and they came to just spend the night so that they can see all beautiful faces. And so I feel very, very supported to have support from the board. These are all those you can see with the checked shirt. They are our staff. They're gonna have some space to speak, and beneficiary. Like, I feel this is a whole community for me of why I started. So I started Wounded Healers in 2018 Wounded Healers I started Wounded Healer from my own personal story of what I had gone through as survivors of sexual violence. I really wanted to provide support for other survivors and to be able to just break the culture of sexual violence and provide a warm platform where survivors can know that they have been believed and they have had. So it's been a long journey since 2018. I just started it I started the organization in my own bedroom in a tiny house in a very informal slum that I don't have anywhere yet in America to compare with where I come from. But the organization has grown to this amazing program that is doing a lot of work. So Wounded Healers has support survivors of sexual violence, but all the time, and it continue growing to more needs and realizing what else is to be done. So I started by amazing girl called Faith. Faith waved to people. Faith was my first beneficiary when I started. I just thought I'm going to offer Faith a shoulder to lean on what she was going through. And from there, we just developed this relationship. She was able to open up to me and I was able to share. So we became like a counselors, therapist for one another. As much as she came to me for help, she was also my assistant. So Faith has been an important part of my life and the biggest example that I have of transformation, how beautiful transformation can be, because Faith has been able to do a lot with the organization. And through her and many other, we are able to support 15 girls to go through school because we believe in education. We want to see girls get education and go to school and achieve their dreams so that they can have a voice and also be able to fight for themselves and to take up the leadership and continue changing the policies and culture for themselves and for the other generations that's gonna come. So we provide scholarship for girls, mostly survivors of sexual violence. And that's the only little thing we can do for only 15 girls when we have so many. So we have these amazing women. They are called Elevate Project. They are not in the age of going to high school where we provide scholarship. So we provide them with education, empowerment, so that we believe women just need to be self-reliant and we can join together in ending sexual violence. So organizations get to support, and Anne and Faith, they are going to speak. We get to have like over 200 people that we reach every time. 150 girls, teenage girls, and reach up to them. We have started a self-help group so that we can empower women so that they can help each other. And we have 2 self-help groups. We work in a very rural areas of Kenya. I would love to take you all there where there's so much culture, and I get to face my culture that I felt rejected me when I really needed them. So organization has grown from me to Faith to serving 200 more people. And I'm so happy to be here today. And with that, I am just gonna not talk too much because I'm always talking about organization, and give it to Faith, who's gonna be able to talk about her journey and who she is and what she does for Wounded Healers.
Okay, my name is Faith Mbive. I'm the prevention coordinator in Wounded Healers International. As a prevention coordinator, my work entails going to outreach to teach sexual violence awareness in primary schools and high schools and how they can prevent themselves from sexual violence. I joined Wounded Healers in 2018 as the first ever beneficiary who reached out to Nuna as a survivor of sexual violence. I reached out to Nuna because she was a survivor too, and I didn't know how to deal with it because coming from an informal settlement, the ghetto, where people are not civilized, they have no idea of how to deal with the victims of sexual violence. What they just do is judge you and stigmatize you, which adds more pain to the wound. When I came to Wounded Healers, I could not express myself. I could not express my emotions. I couldn't tell what was going on with me. All I could just see was my pain, my challenges. With Wounded Healers, I made new friends. I became more confident, more brave, gained leadership skills, and also became an advocate of sexual violence. One of the best moments while doing the outreach is when one girl came out and opened up and shared a story of being abused by the dad. And that was the highlight, because if a girl has shared experience, then that means there was an impact. My mission for the girls in my community is to ensure that all girls have gone to school, educated, get degrees, that they may take lead in fighting sexual violence and end the culture that continues stigmatizing victims of sexual violence. If you can hear this voice, let's join hands and fight and support victims of sexual violence and make our world a safe place for girls and women and everyone at large to live in a free sexual violence community. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you for sharing. I have a question for you, if I may. What have you learned in your role in being a prevention coordinator? Like, what's the biggest lesson that you take away that you'd want to share with us?
One of the biggest lessons is to always be patient and listen to the girls. If a survivor comes and talks to you about her story, you're supposed to listen to her and not judge her. That's the biggest lesson I've learned here.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of, the Me Too movement that became very well known in this country a few years back. And it really hinged upon people listening and really hearing what women were saying about their experiences. So that resonates, what you're saying. And while you were speaking, we had another board member join. And Jana, I just wanted you to take a moment to introduce yourself as well. The board members previously at the very beginning went around, said our names, where we're located, and why we're committed to Wounded Healers.
So good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm late. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am Jana ATN. I'm actually the board treasurer. I'm an accountant, so that's how I got stuck with the treasurer role. Not that I don't love it. I am in Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C. And this organization really means a lot to me for a number of reasons. One, I'm a survivor myself. I don't know that I've ever told the board members that. My mother is from the Philippines and grew up in a world that wasn't so friendly to women, and women had limited choices and limited opportunities. I know it doesn't compare at all to what you're struggling with in Kenya, but I think working in organizations that protect women, that protect girls, and especially sexual violence, because the scars and the wounds are deep and long lasting. This just means a lot to me, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be part of the organization. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jana. And I wanted to actually toss it back to Nuna just to see if you had any other things to add to what Faith was saying or any other questions before moving on.
I think I have a bit of comparison of America and Kenya now that I'm on this side. And I always say every day, I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought I knew everything. And I thought being in Africa and being in that tradition, I thought that I knew everything that was happening. But moving on to this country, I know in America, we still have so many challenges that we need to deal with, but comparing Kenya and in terms of women and America is so different. When I came here, I could, like when I just got married to Tyler and he could go to cook, I was like, maybe he doesn't want my food. Maybe I don't cook well, all these things that I thought it's my responsibility as a woman. And I had my degree. I have my degree. I've gone to university, but I still had that mentality. So watching what I know now and being able to take it to my community and teach it in a different eye really impact me. And like having my staff get to learn a lot from me, it has changed a lot. And now they are giving it to the women. They are teaching women in a different eye or a different perspective. So like, for example, when you talk about sexual violence in Kenya, we don't have reporting system. We don't have, if you say you are a survivor of sexual violence, mostly is gender-based violence, and gender-based violence is women beating. There's no that rape will be reported. We don't have the systems in the government to report sexual violence. And when we report, mostly we report to men who are so culturally condition that they blame us and we don't have a place to go. So having wounded healers at the moment, so many people come to us and tell us, it happened, I reported, I was told this, they have put gender desk in the police station, but there is nothing going on in those gender desk. And when you go to report, it's better you stayed because you got more stigmatized. So with Faith, continuing to share our story, because we use our story so that people can be able to relate and come to us. It has brought so many people who get to find healing through Wounded Healers, and we really love our name as Wounded Healers, because for sure it's people who have been so wounded who get to heal other people. So
yeah, thank you for that, adding that, Nuna. I think what Faith spoke so well to is that, you know, Wounded Healers is a survivor-centered, survivor-led organization, and we're partnering with you to be allies. And we know that you know the way to figure out this problem because you were touched personally, and so that plays into one of the reasons why I think this organization has its own particular perspective and niche and can do such great work in this area, is because of that being survivor led. So thank you for those extra words there. I want to shift the conversation just slightly because we have some more people who are going to speak to what's happening with Wounded Healers. It's been so far a very successful year, and we're looking ahead to 2023. And that's why we're here tonight, is to kick off this sort of end of year campaign. And the focus and the theme is on giving the gift of health. So you may be familiar that Wounded Healers has been, running a safe house in Nairobi, has done community programming in various villages and areas in Kenya. And now Nuna has this vision to expand and look further and really think holistically about what women and girls need. And that is, in addition to the support Wounded Healers offers, is we're looking towards the physical health, and in particular around screenings like cervical cancer screenings, STI screenings, things that can prevent more problems down the road for women. So with that, I just want everyone to take a moment to reflect, perhaps if you're in the US, how the access to our healthcare, we may complain, about insurance, we may complain about doctors, but we have the access. And that's the one gift I think that this campaign really highlights, is that we can give another person that same access and that same gift of being, hopefully treated if there's an issue, or screened and given the peace of mind that they're okay and that they're safe with their health. So with that, Anne is going to be speaking next. Pardon me, I'm looking at my agenda here. Yeah, Anne is going to be speaking specifically about women's health in Kenya. So I'll let her take it away.
you're muted.
Oh yeah, Anne, looks like Anne is muted.
Okay, thank you everyone. First, I'll begin with showing my gratitude to you all for coming to listen to us. We feel so much honored. Thank you so much. My name is Anne Wangoi. I work for Wounded Healers as a case manager. We have two programs in Wounded Healers where I deal with. One is for girls, and the other one is for women. That for girls, we call it Zahara. Zahara means a blossom flower. Girls are blossoming flower. And the other one, we call it Elevate for women. It's a self-help group. Today, I want us to concentrate more in women and reproductive health. It has been so alarming here in Kenya, or even worldwide. In my day-to-day life, I engage with women with a lot of different cases, but some see as a taboo to talk about sex or sexual reproductive infection. Like we have a recent case of one woman from the group by the name Nancy Mudhoni. One morning, she entered the office looking gloomy, pale. She has been bleeding for 3 weeks, heavy, thick, and painful pelvic abdomen. She has been suffering for overgrown fibroids. Other came with problem hygiene. They don't even know how to talk about it or to take care of themselves. Many cases come to our attention, and most of the women do not have the knowledge or education. They don't even go for screening. They don't even go for tests because here in Kenya, the HPV screening is very expensive. Some cannot even afford. Assessing the hospital is also a problem. The health facilities is a problem. In the area we live in, it is very informal urban area. All these cases, when detected, we believe when they are detected early, they can reduce the risk of women dying at the early age, or even reduces all cases of death. My mission for 2023, I have a conversation with a religious hospital to have a medical camp where we target to reach more than 500 women. So my request to you today, or I invite you today, join me and my colleague here in Kenya to support women in my community with health education, medical screening, and all other issues related to sexual transmitted infection, because and preventive cancers, breast cancers, cervical cancer, because we believe when one woman is empowered, we empower the whole community. So let's join heart. If you hear my voice, join us that we fight this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for speaking to that so eloquently. Nina, I know, has a few words from the perspective of being a nurse and on our board, and wants to tell you about how we're partnering with Anne to get the necessary funds and resources to her to help with getting women screened. So I'll turn it over to Nina.
Hi, everyone again. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to follow Anne after that. I mean, that is pretty eye-opening in itself right there. Thank you very much for sharing. I am an emergency room nurse here in the States. I just got my nurse practitioner license, and I am extremely excited and moved and motivated by Nuna and all of you incredible women and other staff members over at Wounded Healers. That the first time I talked to Nuna, we just launched and we said, oh my gosh, we need to set up health clinics. We need to screen everybody we can. But as we started talking recently, we can screen everybody, but then we have to be able to get people to the healthcare that they need after we get those results, right? Screening is only beneficial if we can get people to the treatment facilities that they need to be at. And like Anne was saying, we need to screen as early as we can in order to prevent really mostly preventable diseases that we here in the States take for granted that we don't even have to see or deal with, or if we do feel like we've been exposed to a sexually transmitted infection or something, we can very quickly and fairly comfortably talk to our healthcare team. And we want to just improve that conversation and have Wounded Healers be another safe access point to healthcare that women can have in Kenya, and possibly even eventually here in the States we can branch out to other women in need. It's gonna take time and a lot of organization, but I have a lot of friends in healthcare who would really love to go over to Kenya and help out and work and meet you guys. And so a dream of, like you guys were saying, a health camp once a year, 3 times a year, once a month, it would be really, that's a dream of mine is to, yes, fundraising is hugely important and we can't do it without fundraising, but to be able to actually go and help people and listen and be the support that we can from here, because we are so privileged and we have so much here that it feels like we should and can give more and do more. So that's why I'm here, and you guys, this giving the gift of health is my dream right here. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nina, for sharing from your perspective. As you were speaking, I was thinking, as you and Anne were speaking, I was thinking a lot about my own health experiences with our system. And, I similarly, Anne, you talked about a woman having a fibroid and being in a lot of pain and experiencing a lot of bleeding. I can totally relate. I also have been diagnosed with fibroids, and it seems pretty uncommon because we don't talk about it a lot, even here in the US. But once I start talking about it, people are like, oh, I've experienced those symptoms too. And then it encourages them. Jenna's raising her hand. It encourages people to go to their doctor. So, I think we can't overstate the value of it enough about how important it is, and how we're at Wounded Healers so excited to partner and extend the offer and invitation to others to help us, make such a huge impact this holiday season. Essentially, we are, 5 weeks away from the end of the year, and we really want to be able to get 500 women in just the healthcare that they need. You may have seen when you saw the ticketing and other information for tonight's event that we have a this campaign in the next few weeks. We'll have additional events on the Tuesdays coming up that Nuna will speak to towards the end, because we'd really like to keep the conversation moving on women's health, not, internationally, globally, because we are aligned and connected, and that's, we understand what each of us goes through in that way. I do want to highlight the recurring donor monthly donation. We're really seeking in a way that can be impactful and powerful to partner with us is through a recurring donation. So tonight we are so grateful. We exceeded our goal. I wanted to share for this particular event. We raised over $1,750 from our friends and family. And so we wanted to share that information with you all in Kenya, to say that we feel like we're on our road to the $10,000 for this entire campaign that we're trying to raise. And the recurring donors are going to be a big part of that. It helps bring stability to our programs and helps us rely on knowing what we can purchase and resource on the ground in Kenya. So with that, I just want to, I think it's time to turn it back over to Nuna, or for a little Q&A, I believe. Yes. So Nuna, Nina, myself, other board members are here to answer questions along with the staff in Kenya. And so I will just take a moment to open it up to our guests that we have. We've been doing a lot of talking at you. So if there are questions or something you want to learn more about Wounded Healers, please take a moment, take yourself off mute and let us know.
I'll just jump in real quick and share, Christine, what you're talking about. The whole thing about fibroids really does resonate. I can also share that I got pregnant unexpectedly. I was married and just starting a business, and it wasn't the right time, but I didn't take that for granted. And then I had a miscarriage. And I didn't know about it until I mentioned it. And it's just like you said, Christine, we as women don't talk about what happens to us. We don't share. And as soon as one person talks about it, there is so much power in what you all are doing on the ground in Kenya. I'm just blown away by that, because by simply standing there talking about it, it's very, very powerful. Because I know from my simple experience, and to your point, Nina, the access is easy. I take it for granted. But I'm reminded every day, just from my own experiences as I reflect, We don't talk about it in this country, and talking about it is power. And the example that you all are setting is, I think, is just, I don't know that you're aware enough about how much you all are serving as role models for the community, and that I would just, hopefully you remember that and honor that like we do every day.
Thanks for adding that, Jana. Yeah, and I opened up to Q&A, but anyone really, it's open floor. Anyone can feel free to speak. If they have more to say, we're here to listen.
I think I don't have a question, but I still want to talk about health access and access of what I have able to see here in America and what it is like for me before and where they are. So our women's shelter, where it is, like they said, it's in a very informal place that's all urban, and we call those places ghetto or slums. So where there is so much informal, and we don't have a hospital access nearby. Anne has a background of community health. So our shelter has changed to be this place where everybody walking, the child is sick. They call the team here, they will be called doctors today. Tomorrow they will be called all the names in the community. Come do this for me, come talk to this one, my child is sick. So because they don't have hospital for just even like flu or many other, just what we may say it's normal infection. So getting to women health, and with the taboo, they don't go for hospital because it takes more time to go, and there is not even that access. So like Anne has been talking about having our shelter have like just painkillers and antibiotics for the kids, because the kids will be hit on the road or something will hurt the child and will come bleeding. Oh, help me put medicine, because there's nowhere else they can go. So as much as we are going to provide this education for women health, we are going to provide education for even, all the other prevention, like we've been giving sanitary pads for a whole year now. We give sanitary pads every first week of every month to the community. And so many people go inside to just take sanitary pads. So that's how we came down to realizing sanitary pads, there's more needed more than just sanitary pads. We start having water shower, people can just come and take a shower, but still, it's to continue opening to many more needs. So once we have that, they realize, the kids are sick. There's like to do with COVID, we didn't even have a place to stay or to prevent ourselves. So in terms of health, and especially where we are at our shelter, if we can be able to provide more education and maybe able to partner with as many organization or individuals who will be willing to even provide just education, even if not screening.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Christine.
Yeah,
Nuna, what or Anne or Faith or anybody, what are the family planning options available to women in Kenya?
Okay. Access of family planning is not that available. Also, the health facility to get those family planning is also a problem. And here they are not given freely, they have to pay. And not everyone that can afford that small cost of paying for family planning.
And so what are the options? I mean, are there condoms available? Is it oral birth control? Is it, what are women's options, men and women's options?
We want first to deal with reproductive health, because that has been so alarming in my day-to-day life when I engage with these women.
And I guess like what Nina, you're asking, like if you can, with the family planning is, because it's not access, we're trying to partner with a local hospital.
Okay.
That they can be able to come to use our space to provide family planning to women and
Okay.
all as other, yeah.
So it sounds like there's an opportunity for not just sex education, but also for, you know,
Yes.
safe sex and pregnancy prevention and, you know, disease prevention in general, and, you know, health and hygiene and all of that. I mean, it just seems like we can do a lot all together.
I wanted to ask, can I ask a follow-up question? Nuna, you just said something that I don't think I understood or would like more information on. So the local hospitals use our space or your space. So that means that they come, do you have something scheduled on a regular basis, or do they reach out to you when they need access to the women or a place to help these women?
So we've
My
not
understanding-
done, yeah, we've not done that before, but that's what we are looking forward to doing next year. Because there's no hospital nearby, we will just be scheduling so that they can come to our center and provide those services.
Thank you.
Nuna, how far away is the nearest hospital?
Can you say in kilometers, and I'm gonna try to do it in miles?
Approximately 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers, approximately.
It's more than a half mile. Or...
A mile and a half. Yeah.
Mile and a half, yeah.
Nuna, if Americans can't do that math, you shouldn't do it for us.
I know I struggle. Oh, kilometer, yeah, time and.
It's just like degrees in other programs that I hear in Celsius, and then I get confused.
Good questions. Anyone else have questions or comments? I
I have a
actually,
question.
oh
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead,
okay.
Kristen.
I'll throw my comment in, then I'll kick it over to you for another question. When Nuna was talking, it reminded me something I heard her say when we were in person at our other event, and that was just how far the US dollar can go. So, you know, we're trying to raise money right now, and on our tiers, sanitary pads for 12 people per month. And in the US, tampons can cost about $10 for one person, for depending upon how heavy your cycle is. You know, you might only get 2 months use, but compare that to the number of people that you could help with that $10 in Kenya. That's what always excites me about our fundraising, is like just that level of impact that we can make because of the dollar going so much further. But go ahead, Jana.
My question is more about the domino effect. So as we see more girls and more women coming in, do we see one repeat women coming back? And then do we see them bringing or spreading the word, so they are then bringing more women and more girls? I know there's more demand than there is capacity, but I'm curious to know how much is that demand growing, because it's a sign of awareness. Does that make sense?
Shiro, do you want to answer that?
Sorry.
Do you want to answer that?
Yes. Thank you so much, Gina. Women in this community, they bring their friends. So whenever they come for the sanitary towels, or whenever they come for the services, they make sure they bring their friend the following month, or whenever they find a friend in need. For example, if I'm out of the topic about the adult education that we offer here, we started with like 5 women with adult education, but they keep on bringing others. And right now we have like 20 women, or 20 to 25 women who come for adult education. So they spread the word so that we get so many women who come here.
Thank you. Another question that I had is around the girls. is there an age, how young are we seeing these girls, and are we able to reach more girls at a younger age so that they know better and they know more than maybe some of the women knew when they were girls? That makes sense. I don't know how if I'm asking the questions clearly, but
If I get your question, Gina, you're asking about the age that the girls come here. Okay, we don't have the specific age because Anne has grouped them in groups. There are those who are seniors and those who are junior. So if it's about the senior, there are the topics or the activities that we give them compared to junior. So the girls are divided into groups according to their age. For them at least to feel comfortable when you're discussing about some sensitive topics, to them they can be able to share or open up.
Thank you for sharing. Any other questions? And yes, hi, Tyler. Thanks for joining us. Maybe Tyler should say
We're
hi.
sharing a computer, so I didn't want
Yeah.
to take any spotlight away from Nuna, so I was just kind of off to the side, but
No, that's fine. Maybe you could introduce yourself to those on here who don't know you.
yeah, absolutely. So I am Tyler Gleason. I'm Nuna's husband, and I feel like the luckiest human being on earth. Not to mention, I have had the fortunate opportunity of visiting Kenya a couple of times and visiting the team, the Wounded Healers team. And ultimately, one thing I wanted to mention since this meeting began is that these 4 women from Kenya, 3 of which are still in Kenya, which, by the way, the three team members in Kenya live in a city larger than the size of Los Angeles, and they navigate the roads and streets and back alleyways to help people every single day. And that in and of itself is a feat that I know that I'm not capable of. So I just want to commend the Wounded Healers team first and foremost for really having, above all, passion and dedication to, excuse me for a second, but to really helping people, you know, not just saying it and not just making it look good like we're some organization out for the money. It's like, especially the 3 women in Kenya, Anne, Faith, and Josephine, you are all my heroes. And I just want you to know that the work that you put in and day out, you don't get paid enough for it. I can tell you that much, you know, but the dedication and passion that you bring to this organization is unmatched from anything that I've seen in my lifetime. And I want you all to know that I am a much better person just for having met you. So thank you very much for that. On top of that, I do want to mention that I have been to the ghetto in Kenya, and it's unlike anything any of us have seen or could even imagine. And that was, we were visiting Rosemary, dear Rosemary, bless her heart. She's still around, by the way. I was also fortunate enough this past April to attend for a couple of days the She Knows Her Power camp that Wounded Healers put on at their shelter in Nairobi. And I was blown away by the impact that they had on these young women. So this was a camp for sort of late middle school to high school age girls, some or most of which are survivors of sexual violence of some form. And I couldn't believe the level of happiness at this camp and the level of camaraderie that these three women, including these four women, I should say. Nuna, it's hard because Nuna's on a computer, you know, teaching from afar, but really all making such a huge difference. And I just, I can't explain enough, speaking about how far the dollar goes in Kenya to really provide a serious impact, and most importantly, a culture shift. So we're all up against a situation where the United States was maybe 75 years ago, you know, where maybe longer, you know, where sort of men rule the roost, the traditions win the day, you know. There's not a lot of room for anonymity. There's not a lot of room for boosting each other, for support. It's just one person runs the show, and those are the rules you follow, you know. And what Wounded Healers is really doing is showing young women and girls that there's another way, that they are powerful, that they matter, that they are smart, that they don't need anyone to boss them around to figure out how to survive this planet that we all share. So my hat's off to this team for being scrappy, for being hungry, for making it work with very little resources from the beginning. And now here we are on Giving Tuesday with a great group of folks who are caring and passionate to learn. That this is just it's an amazing organization, and I'm happy to just live with somebody that's a part of it, if nothing else. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Tyler, for your words. And I certainly echo what you're saying about what the team is doing on the ground. You know, we are doing what we can here in the US to support really the work. And it's just every time I hear Nuna tell a story in a board meeting about what's being accomplished, I am, you know, again, so grateful to have the opportunity to help in some small way. So
it's amazing. And just speaking of the US, Christine, like, Nuna is not one to just relax, really, you know. So on top of all the efforts that happen in Kenya, there is a big happening here in the US, mainly Maine, the greater Portland area of Maine to start with. And so Nuna has taken it upon herself to build a network that I can't even fathom the size of at this point. She knows at least 200 times more people than I know in Maine, and I grew up here, which is pretty wild, you know. But that being said, there are a number of people here in Maine that are African refugee or immigrants, I should say, not just refugees, some asylum seekers, some just straight up moved here. But there is still this cultural understanding that people here don't get, and that might be a little antiquated in Africa. Not all of Africa, you know, not all families, that kind of thing. But Nuna's mission that I've come to learn is to sort of help people here get up to speed to the culture that we live in, and also feel free to seek mental health resources, you know, try to take care of your body, and not necessarily have to live in a way where you follow the norms of ancient history, kind of thing. So Nuna has acquired a space to be able to provide some of these things for people. I mean, not to mention, she's a certified yoga instructor. She's a certified self-defense instructor, which she's all done on her own since coming to Maine, not even the United States. And so she, on top of leading the team in Kenya, who are more or less self-sustainable at this point. Thank you, ladies in Kenya. A round of applause for you. But Nuna has really built herself a solid foundation to be a force of positive nature, you know, of health building and self-worth realizing for all of us, for every one of us. So I just want to thank you, Nuna. Really, you're doing a good job. This is amazing.
Well, and Tyler, you touched on something that, you know, when we were putting together the program, we were so focused, obviously, on what's happening in Kenya that we haven't shared what's happening in Maine. And so, Nuna, could you talk about kind of the latest goings on for you and Wounded Healers?
Yeah, I forgot that part. So, I like Tyler said, I really strongly believe being in America is a huge opportunity for people and for us who get to find ourselves in America in whichever way circumstances that bring us here. And I took it to myself with opportunities that I get in America that I didn't get in Africa to educate myself on different skills that I can be able to give it to Anne, Shiro, and Faith. So I always make a joke like, I'm this milking cow that keep feeding in America and Kenya continue milking me because they are not here to see what I see. And so I have been able to participate in learning more skills. And for me to practice the skills other than computer, I do a lot of programs in Maine. So I started programs specifically in Maine because, you know, as an executive director, I'm always behind a computer looking for money, but that's not who I was. So I really wanted to implement the skills that I have learned. And with my community here of asylum seekers and refugees from Africa, they struggle a lot because number one, they don't speak the language. Number two, there is that fear. This is a new culture. This is a new tradition. So I started programs to be able to help the immigrant to get to believe in themselves, number one, and to be able to use their voice and advocate for what they want while still here in America. So I started supporting survivors of sexual violence from Africa because I know the history and rooted in the culture. So I bring them in the space that we are in right now and talk about our experiences and the stigma that we face through the process of seeking help, especially mental health, because mental health is not common in Africa. So once we come here, we don't go for mental health. I have my bachelor's in psychology, but I have gotten to understand the importance of mental health from my experience and now being in America. So I run programs that I help African immigrant access the mental health. And I can see Clara Porter here. She's my coach for empowerment self-defense. I learned empowerment self-defense so that I can be able to bring along my community so that they can learn how to protect themselves and set boundaries. Because one thing that was never taught, and Anne and Shiro can say to this, we were never taught how to set boundaries. We are taught to be good women and just follow what every other person say. And when I came to America, I realized women know how to say no. Women say no, and that's no, and no is a complete answer. And that's what I wanted. And so I get to teach women here. And I'm like, we are in America and we can say no. We don't have to be scared and be beaten and hide. So I run program for women. I teach empowerment self-defense. And recently I started a after school program in a South Portland High School here, where I get to support teenage students. Like Anne said, we have a Zahara program in Kenya, and now I have started a Zahara program here in America. So Zahara program here is an after school program club in the school that I get to teach kids how to believe in themselves, to follow their dream, and just to work toward achieving what they set in life to achieve. Because as I believe biologically, teenage stage is where if you're not aligned very well, you can just go and hard to come back. So I get to remind my African community in Maine, we are in America. Hey, we are here. We have to take these opportunities. Let's set our boundaries. Let's do this program. And I really love my programs here because there is accessibility. Once I teach this, there's somewhere that I can set them to get more help. It's not like Kenya. I help them and then I don't know what to do with them. But now I love America, my programs here, because once I teach them and they get to understand there's somewhere that I can take them. So I have been so busy, I never sleep, like Tyler said. I do programs in Kenya and I do programs here in Maine. So Wounded Healers International exists in Kenya and exists in Maine.
Right, thank you. And I'm so excited. I know the Zahara Club in South Portland is very new. Like we're talking just in the past few weeks that has come together. And I look forward to hearing more about it, you know, as it progresses and evolves. I know that you said the feedback from the school so far was really good. And there might be other schools waiting in the wings to get a similar program up and running. So stay tuned, everybody, for that. I want to be mindful to our colleagues in Kenya about, you know, it's so late and they've been up. So we want to just share that a couple things and as we head to our closing of our program. Again, thank you all for being here. We do have a raffle. We were raffling off a Wounded Healers t-shirt to someone tonight who was here joining. And I believe, Nina, you were maybe doing that on the side while we've been talking. Yes, very
I
nice.
have a little basket here, borrowed it from my daughter. Gonna shuffle it around in here for the participants who joined us this evening. And our lucky winner is Robin. That's probably backwards, isn't it? Robin.
Nope, it's right.
Okay,
Robin.
backwards.
So looks like Robin may have just dropped. I don't think I see her
No,
anymore.
she's there. I see
There
her.
she is. There's Robin.
You muted, Mama.
Yeah.
Robin is my mother-in-law.
I love it.
Oh, well, yay!
I don't know if that's fair.
She's
I'll toss the name back.
Christine, I just want to say one quick thing before the ladies from Africa, from Kenya go, because I know it's late and I love that they were here. I know what this time difference can do, but Tyler mentioned something. He says that when he's gone and visited, you know, that the girls look so happy. And, you know, that happiness to me always spells hope. And I think that when you're feeling hopeful about something, there's so much reason to be happy. So Nuna and Josephine and Anne and Faith and Mercy, who I don't see on the screen, but the entire Kenya team, they're really just breathing hope into these girls and into these women in the community. Absolutely. And that's a big deal. I mean, we cannot, and I know that we feel it, but I just want to make sure that they're hearing. They've become these hope dealers for these women, and then in turn become hope dealers for us, so that we can do the work here. And just to see how this is growing and expanding in Maine now too, and probably will be national in no time at all. It just all starts with the hope that they're really instilling in these girls to a brighter future, to what's possible, that encouragement. So I just want to thank you personally for just doing that, because it's something that a lot of women in that situation wouldn't have without you doing that.
Thank you, Berta. As you said that, I totally just remembered that I was walking by a sign the other day and I saw someone had hope, but it said helping other people everywhere. And I don't think I'd seen it like that before, or I hadn't seen it in a very long time. So when you were talking about it, it just reminded me of it. So helping other people everywhere is what we're up to. So with that, I'm going to let Nuna take over the mic again to lead our closing, just to share with people what, you know, just the last few comments here, and then Nina will play some music as we exit here. So take it away.
May or may not have lost the music.
Maybe no. We'll see. But go ahead,
You can
Nina.
remember it.
Do you mind if I said one thing before? I just wanted to sort of tie it together with what Berta said. Having met some of these girls in Kenya, which I was fortunate enough to be placed on the pink team at She Knows Her Power Camp. So I was really pumped about that. But having heard, not necessarily directly from them, but some of the atrocities that these young women survived. And I mean, some of these things are just unspeakable, you know, to to a early young teenage person that just should never even have heard of any of these things, you know? And sometimes it's a family member, you know, that kind of thing, who's the perpetrator. But I really just wanted to stress again the impact of Wounded Healers on that aspect that you mentioned, Berta, of showing them hope, bringing them happiness, giving them a voice, letting them be themselves, and letting them be children for a few minutes. You know, it was that, to me, was sort of the most eye-opening experience that I've ever had in my entire life. You know, that is only second to me having to walk the runway at this camp full of girls pretending to be a model. But anyway, we won't talk about that again. That doesn't leave this Zoom meeting, you know. So, yeah. But thank you, Berta, for bringing that up.
So I think the last, before we close, I just want to bring us back to what we're doing here today. We are launching a fundraising campaign, Give a Gift of Health, to raise $10,000 US by the end of year, by the end of December. So, and I know all of us have come to this work in one way or another. You've donated, your friend to me or to somebody else, either your board member, you have a connection with Wounded Healers, and you've already given some money toward the cause. But I continue extending an invitation to consider becoming a recurring donor, because this work continues to grow. As Shiro said, we started with only a few people, and now we are getting 200. We have to close our gates because we cannot take any more, because we don't have a space, we don't have resources for that. The whole organization has only those 4 staff, only us 4. So I'm extending this invitation to please consider becoming a monthly recurring donor. Just like they said, $1 go a long way. So I really don't want you to feel like you don't have money. Just skipping coffee 1 week. I get painful when I buy coffee, because I'm like, that can feed a whole family in Kenya. It's like, oh my God, $4, $5. I'm like, would feed my mom, the whole of my mom family, which we are 12, and take some for breakfast. So just, if you can maybe decide in a month, I'm just gonna skip coffee. And this $10, I'm gonna donate every month to this organization. So I really invite you to consider becoming a recurring donor and inviting us and to speak to any platform that you may have. And just so you know, just by showing up and love that you give us is a lot, and we appreciate. And I continue extending because I know this was a mission for me 2018, but it has overflown in my plate, and I cannot hold the plate anymore. I really need everybody to help me hold this plate so that we can move and continue helping people. We don't want to close doors for people who really need our services just because we don't have resources. When I know I have a community, and we have a community that can help. And once you become a monthly donor, we have special gifts for you. Like you've seen the music, we have very, very beautiful beads, Maasai beads from Kenya. We call them Maasai, they're traditional. We get to send you a bracelet or a dog collar if you have a pet, or a basket, an earring. And you get to attend these amazing conversation quarterly with our staff, with these women, with the guys. You get to see what's going on in Kenya. And we get to attend to in person. Like we are having once you become a monthly donor today, we will meet again in February, Valentine. So we have a family called Pendo family. Pendo is a Swahili name meaning love, and we know love wins and love leads this world. So Pendo, we invite you to become a member of our family of Pendo. Those are monthly donors who get to meet, who get to listen to this amazing story, who get to see the guys and receive all the other kind of the gifts. And the girls in Kenya, the women, will write notes to you, handwritten, good letters, and you'll get to see and send you pictures, and then we will always share the progress of what's going on. So I really invite you to consider skipping coffee once a week or a whole month. Just skip coffee for me and for this team, and you can become a recurring donor.
Thank you, Nuna. And Nina, did you have a song for us to close out with?
Oh, and I'm not singing.
Well, thank you all for joining us.
Sorry.
I can share the link with you, Nina. One.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
That's the bids that we're gonna set to you once you become. How to become a monthly donor? Click on our website, and on donation, instead of saying one time, just click recurring monthly, and you don't have to do anything else. Every month, the system will take whatever donation that you put there, and you don't have to worry.
Thanks, Nuna. We look forward to seeing you all in the future. Thank you so much for your support, and go get some sleep to our friends in Kenya.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Mama